Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Women Are Worthy Network. I'm your hostess with the mostest. Two in one day. So, okay, let me calm down, because when I tell you this conversation has been a work in the making, it's been a work in the making, right? So let me do a little bit of housekeeping. I'm the hostess with the mostest, Jacqueline Charles. I am here to offer positive vibes. We only allow positive polys here. We don't allow any negative Nellies here, okay? So it's all about positivity. We're all about encouraging, enlightening, educating people. That's what we're all about here. So now let me take a sip, because this lady, her resume is long and hard, long and strong. So joining us today, we have a wonderful woman by the name of Skye Conway. She's a true vegan renegade. Come closer, y'all. That's what I said, a vegan renegade. She's triumphed over 30 years of chronic illness, right? And how she's powered through that is with the power of raw foods. In this enlightening, educating, and in sometimes titillating, that's right, I said titillating conversation of episode of Raw Food Today. Skye shares a personal experience and sheds light onto the life-changing benefits of embracing raw food lifestyle. I'm digging this lady and loving her, because this is the first person I've really found whose name is spelled like mine, because that's my middle name, and I'm just digging her more and more. So we want people to embrace raw food vegan lifestyle. Again, this is a non-judgmental zone. Skye is here to educate and just to share her journey with us. So, okay, get ready to be inspired. Grab a pen and paper, because Skye's insights are going to be worthy of taking notes. Get it? Worthy, worth? Okay. Hello, Skye.
Hey, Jacqueline, that was such a beautiful introduction, and thank you so much for having me today.
You are, I'm just digging you. And, when we first had our conversations, because Lord knows this interview has been, for a while in the making. So tell us about your journey. You have such a passion. That's why it's raw. You have such a passion for what you're doing. I see the light just beaming off of you. It's radiating, baby. It's radiating. Tell us about your journey and what you're doing.
Sure. Okay. Well, my journey actually started, as you said in the introduction, I was sick for 30 years and really sick as well. So it started back when I was about 8 and I got chickenpox, just normal chickenpox. And then I went to go back to school and I couldn't get through a whole week of school. My glands are really swollen and I continually deteriorated. And the doctors didn't know what was wrong. I went to specialists, and eventually a specialist said, your tonsils have been eaten away by bacteria. We need to remove them. So they removed them and I started to progressively get better. And then when I was about 16, I started to get chronic pain, chronic back pain, hormone problems. I was in so much pain. I was missing school. I was tired all the time, lethargic. So I went to doctors again. No one knew what was wrong. And all they could do was treat the pain. So they started to remove like nerves, ligaments, cauterized areas of my pelvis. I was on medication, hormones. I missed so much school. Nobody could find the cause of this. And I left school and then another surgeon went in because they kept trying to find what was causing this so much pain. And when I say so much pain, I mean a gynecologist and neurologist did biofeedback on me. And they use the machine that they use when women are giving birth. So they train them leading up that you get a start point and you're going to breathe through and lower the neurofeedback in the body. And my start point was so off the charts, they couldn't use the machine on me. And I'm walking around every day in this much pain. So they're really trying to find what's going on. So finally, a surgeon went in and he found on the uterosacral ligament towards the back, around near the spine, a second piece of uterus. And this, they'd never seen it before. They called it endostomatosis. And that is what they believed was causing. They took it out. And I woke up from the surgery and literally it was like my back just kind of clicked back into place. I had 2 years then, and I'm about 21, 22 at this stage. I had about 2 to 3 years of much better health. So I still was now chronic fatigue, hormone problems, really lethargic a lot of the time, but I was doing much better. Then this pain that I knew was like my pain, it started to come back. And this time they treated it with anti-inflammatories, medications. And when they did that, I was still trying to work at this stage. And then all of a sudden I was getting all of the symptoms. Like I was just almost blacking out all the time, so dizzy I couldn't see. I had severe anemia, but they had been giving me surgeries to help with the pain as well. So the doctors thought it was anemia from blood loss. And eventually I couldn't stay conscious. I was collapsing, vomiting, diarrhea. Mum called an ambulance, went into hospital, and they said, "What's going on?" And I said, "Look, I have this back thing, this pelvic thing," and they were about to transfer me to a hospital that could look after me. They gave me 4 blood transfusions when I got there. So apparently I was just losing blood. They assumed from my surgeries. Anyway, a gastro doctor came down and he said, "Have you got any new symptoms?" And I said, "Look, for the past 6 months, maybe 4 months, I get at night like a chest pain and a sharp stabbing pain, but it's only at night." And I said, "Really? It's just my back." He goes, "I want to give you a scope, like just have a look." They went in and I had in my duodenum a perforated ulcer, which had like rotted and bled out. So when Mum found me around the house, I was literally vomiting blood and diarrhea, but it was digested. So nobody knew that. So, and it was so bad, they had to bring a surgeon in from another hospital. It was like maybe 10-hour surgery at that stage. So they cut me open, they're cauterizing both areas. I wake up in ICU and they're like, "Right, we did this and you've got to come down. So you've got to like not eat, blood transfusions. You're waiting for this massive trauma surgery to heal." I'm about to go home and then I project vomit blood everywhere. This time it's bright red, like it's literally like an exorcism. So they rushed me back up and this time they go back in and they just went on back in both sides and tried to cauterize the area again to hold so the organs they weren't going to take any. I woke up back in the same situation where you've got to come through all the, you've got to get well. And they said, "If you vomit blood again, we have to." And they drew a diagram of what they're going to take out. Most of my stomach, duodenum, top of the intestines, because it's all rotted and it just kept breaking open. So of course I'm vomiting blood again. And at this stage, it was just much easier. Like in my head, you want it fixed. I'm like, "Sure, yep." So they took it out. And this time they took it out. It was a long way back. I got liver infections, kidney infections. And eventually I get home. I'm very tiny, haven't eaten in months, but I managed to get back to work. And the pain in my back at this stage is much better because I believe it's quite simple, is when you're that underweight, you're not having a period. So your hormones are like gone. So there's not as much inflammation in my body. But after getting myself well and back into work, and when I was working, I literally would finish work and was so tired, I'd actually just crash out like on the train. And when I get home, just sleep all weekend. So I was just basically functioning. So, so at the end, the pain came back. And at that time, when the pain came back after 10 months, my back pain, at this stage, they couldn't use anti-inflammatories. It came back and I was very weak still. And at this stage, I ended up on massive amounts of opiates to try and cope with the pain. So there was like waking up, it was like 500 milligrams of oxycodone morning and night. Fentanyl patch on the arm of 170 micrograms. My breakthrough was 60 milligrams of OxyContin, Valium. There was antidepressants. There was dexamphetamine. There was stomach medications. There was hormones. I needed ketamine and Botox in my back, and not the ketamine was taken when the pain got really bad. I mean, I literally was going through the ringer. I had full-time carers. I could barely get up and do anything. I had a walking stick, and I, of course, had to stop work. And at this stage, I'm about 27, possibly. And that looked like it was going to be my life until we found how do you get rid of this pain. I also forgot to mention before I got on all this medication, they did go back in to look at where that disease was, and they had made a surgical error where they missed a strip of it, which is not exactly their fault. They'd never seen it before, but because it was deep under, and he took much more out. But when I woke up, it didn't make much of a difference, which is quite normal. If you've had that much surgery, eventually it just starts causing scar tissue. So then I've ended up on all of this medication, cared by my parents, and I'm under some really top doctors, and they eventually put me in a chemically induced menopause, and that stops this pain. Like, this pain at this stage is like a nerve pain across my face, down my back, all the way down my legs, my feet, my arms, into my fingers. It's horrible, and I know it. So that pain, once they put me on this chemical, just stopped. Like, obviously by this stage I have many other problems going on, but that pain stopped. So I said to them, I want a hysterectomy. I can't do any more drugs. Like, my theory was you take out the problem and all this will go away. So they did that, and because I had that second piece of uterus, they believe my brain had like estrogen receptors, like it was mapped, and that was the pain response was so high. So of course, once I went through menopause, after that, it was just horrific. But a year after that, I started to come off all the medications. I was so foggy. I was not in pain. I didn't need them. They're making me sick. As I came off, it was like my body could not take anymore. So of course, if you took even a little bit away, my body got from constipation to diarrhea to vomiting to sweats to like cold and flu symptoms. I was 37 kilograms. I was having surgeries because I ended up from the medication constipating me so much that there was tears and fissures, and there was constant surgeries, and then I had to inject constantly to go to the bathroom. But my blood work I was just like a write-off. Like, my hair, and it sounds horrible, but nobody actually thought at this point I was going to make it. They didn't know why I was continuing to lose weight and just getting unhealthier. Then at about 36, I had what you call like a break with reality, where I totally detached from what had happened. And I was put into a psychiatric unit. I was taken off the rest of the pain medication, put on psychiatric. That was probably the most traumatizing time of my life. You barely know who you are. I hadn't really left the house in probably almost 10 years. Like, I had just for special occasions, like dinner and stuff, maybe out, but I was like, this is the world, like trying to grasp onto reality. So I came out of that, and I actually did well. And I think it's because I couldn't remember a lot of what happened. So for about a year, and not this well, just like kind of base well. Anything was better than where I was. So I was like working for my brother-in-law. I would go to the gym. I was eating a paleo diet. So my mum has Lyme, so she was on paleo. So I tried that, and I did really, really well. Towards the end of the year, as I got better, it's like my memory returned. And of course, with all that, anxiety returned. Not just that, I ended up with shingles through the eye. Like straight through the eye. I ended up not able to walk and talk. I needed carers again. Ended up in a neurological hospital, had to relearn to do all of those things. At this point, and the worst thing was I had constant PTSD, depression, suicidal thoughts running over the top. It was like this, because shingles, I mean, it all started with chickenpox, and shingles and chickenpox are very related. But this shingles set something off in my brain. Like, it was literally just a horror show. So once I could relearn to do things basically, I ended up spending for the next year and a half most of that time in psychiatric units with very acute care. One stay was like 10 months without going home more than twice. Like, I was really unwell, but I was still physically unwell as well. I couldn't do much. It was like my body was constantly failing me. I was vegan during this time, and during this time it was like what I call part of my awakening. Like, when I did have that first break with reality, it's like something in life and spirit shifted, as in like, Skye, you're going to see truth now, and you're going to have to deal with it. None of this is like, although I was coming off the medications and I was looked after really well, it was like, you have to kind of see life for what it is now. And so when I've had this, like, gone from paleo, and then when I had this shingles thing happen and PTSD, I couldn't bring myself to eat anything with a face. That's how it started. And it came to me, I'm like, nobody eats me. Why would I eat somebody's child? Why would I eat another? It has a right. I was very sensitive. So as much as I could in the hospital, and I'm sure there was I would have things now and then, but I would kept, when I could ask for things, vegan. So I ate vegan throughout the hospital stay. Now, as I got towards the end of kind of this year and a half of being in psychiatric hospitals, I was in a private one where they put me back on some of the medications I'd been on when I had been very ill before I kind of forgot who I was. And that brought me back to some level. But it did not fix me, and it was just functioning. But I was doing much better. Then being vegan at this time and being in that hospital, I'm eating like grilled tofu and herbs. I'm eating big salads. Mum's bringing me in good vegan food, occasionally some carob, but I'm pretty much eating really well. And my blood proteins were dropping, and they didn't know why. They said, you could add more nuts, but you're eating plenty of everything. We don't know what's going on. And I then get home from this stay, and I'm still vegan, and I'm living with mum and dad. And to cope, I start drinking, which wasn't the best thing, but I couldn't. It slowed this constant PTSD. And I was living with them, and I thought to myself, you know what, I've got about 2 years of doing this, of having a bottle of wine a day or having some vodka. But within, I think, 2 to 3 months, I'm in hospital. My liver's failing, liver damage. I'm needing infusions. I was in there for like 2-3 weeks. I come out of that, and mum and dad have said no more. I've lived with them. They've been my carers that whole time. You need to, get your own place or do this on your own. You can't stay with us anymore. So at this point, I tried to go to rehab, but I was very, very sick. And then I was living in hotels, and some family members helped me, and then my family helped me get my first place. So once I get this place, I'm barely functioning, right? And I'm just I don't really know the world that well. And I can still barely read and write. So if I've got to ring like up to pay a bill or something, my dad has to be on the phone to kind of explain where I live, all of that. So very basic. I'm getting food coming in, like I'm ordering food online, and I'm just doing it basically. So I might have salad, fruit, like the vegan food, and occasionally I'll have like a dry roasted pumpkin with garlic and tomatoes and maybe some beans. And what I noticed is every time I had the cooked food, I'd be back in bed, hardly able to move. I could barely think. I couldn't get up. My body would ache. I did go back during this time about 3 times to drinking. Like I just have these binge sessions, and I was getting so sick from it, as in just everything was going through me. There was blood. It was just not good. So once I was just having this vegan food, I started to notice that if I had no heat applied to the food, I could go out and hang my clothes out. Now, this is really foreign to me. Like this is something that I couldn't do. And maybe it took a couple of days till I bring it in, but I'm like, wow. And then I go a few days on raw, not knowing what it is, but then eat the cooked food and be like, oh my God, I really can't move. And I'm like, what am I willing to do for my health? And I'm like, thinking to the Skye, after all you've been through, you can eat raw foods. Now, the blessing here was that on my phone, I did enjoy flicking through pictures on Instagram. And I did get a lot of like ideas of foods from things that, were online, and people were called raw vegans, and they had these beautiful big salads, or what else do they have? Like beautiful smoothie bowls or big fruit pictures. And I'm like, oh, there's people who do this. And as I said, I can't read what a raw vegan is, like much anyway, but I could see. So I was like, started telling people I'm raw vegan. I start eating raw foods, and boy, did my life just take off. Like I'm talking about tachycardia, POTS, PTSD. I had pain problems, stomach problems. I could barely eat anything when I first started. Depression, PTSD, anxiety, you name it, it all just disappeared. My vision improved. I could start reading again. And this all cleared up within about 6 weeks. I'm out walking. I'm like having conversations with family, like and saying, let's catch up when we can. And like I could actually do things as well. So within 6 weeks, I am like, and on my Instagram page, you can see there's the difference within 6 weeks. But within the first 6 months, so even before that, I think it was less than 6 months before the end of that year. So this is 2021. I got well. I started to get well, and that was around June, July. So within the first 6 months, I was able to buy my own place, start working. I was able to exercise, spend time with family and friends. I got rid of every medication. I was looking after myself. I was looking after my home, my new home. It was like that you could dream of how, this is what I think of people when people are sick, is they have this dream of this ailment going, you know, the sore back or the cancer or the hip. But what if something could take you to the next level where you're not just losing that ailment, that inflammation's going, but you just thrive. Like life is just not just easy. It's the greatest pleasure I've ever known. Like I'm so in love with myself and life. And yeah, so that's,
You know, first of all, let me commend you for going through that, right? Meaning you didn't give up. Because I understand when you're in that space, you start to get depressed, think, you know, unhealthy thoughts come in
yes,
your head, you know, self-harm and things like that.
yes,
So the fact that you and your body, what people don't realize, and they need to, your body's telling you what you need, right?
yes,
But sometimes we don't listen, because I know for a fact my body prefers raw than cooked vegan food. I
yes,
know that. I with know that because I see the difference on how I feel. I'm also an empath, so I need to have stuff that's as close to Mother Earth as possible with no heat, right?
yeah.
So my question to you is, you persevered. So what was the aha moment for you to create Roar, to educate other people?
Sure. So I knew what I did was, how would I say it? Some people might see it like a miracle, but to a lot of people, the unachievable. So a lot of people where they are have, and I've been there, you lose so much hope that you don't even look at what other people are doing. And I would look in the bowls I was creating of food and look at how I was living my life. And I'm like, you're amazing, Skye. What you are doing every day is so amazing. You need to help and lead others. So every time I would go out, even to a restaurant, order my salad, like it was a whole new world to me. And I'd be like, excuse me, can I have none of what you're making, like in your restaurant? And like, I want a salad. And I commended myself every single time I did that. And I thought, other people can do this and feel this good. There is no way I don't want to share it. My world looked so beautiful as well. I didn't not want to share it. So, yeah, that's the part where raw came from. And it was very, I'm very empathic as well. And it's very intuitive, this whole journey. And raw just came. It wasn't, and I think it's because there's so much more than just the raw foods. When I did get well, I would have my shoes off most of the time. If I could get outside, I would be outside on that dirt, that ground.
Ground,
I
yeah.
would dunk myself just in the ocean. I remember as a child, I felt the best after a day at the beach. So I was near water. So Skye, you get yourself down and you go in and then you get it. It was the middle of winter. It helped, the cold showers, music. When I could move again, I'd free dance, right? And I could allow myself as well times where it's okay to talk to yourself if you need to. Like you can go to the mirror, you can go to your phone if you need something physical there to get the trauma out, right? And doing all this, I knew from where I'd come that other people could use this. And that's why I do what I do. But it's that deep self-love, isn't it? Where you love yourself so much, you know other people should feel this too. So you share.
Just posted that today. I just posted something on
Oh,
Instagram about loving yourself. You have to learn to love yourself, right?
oh,
And when you said that, it resonates with me because, like you, and I've noticed most intuitive people, it was raining the other night and I felt an urge to go out in the rain. And I took
yeah,
off my shoes and I was grounding. And it's kind of chilly early in the morning, but it felt good. Then I started doing this when I take a shower, because normally when I take a shower, it's like third degree burns. That's how hot my water is. But then when I'm about to, before I turn it off, I turn it to extremely cold. And
yeah,
I feel so different. Like if I'm feeling a little down, if I take that cold shower, I'm telling you guys, it does something for you. I'll share something. I was in a nail salon getting my nails done, and this lady was getting sick. I didn't know what was going on with her. No one knew what was going on with her. So everyone's scurrying around, you know, like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And I can tell that she was getting weaker and weaker. So I think they called the ambulance for her. but you could tell she was progressively getting worse. So they gave her, I think, a cloth, and they didn't know what to do with it. So I told them to dunk the cloth in some cold water. So
Oh,
they got the cloth in some cold water. I told them to put it in the back of her head and get another one, because when you nail salon, they have nothing but rags. Put it on
yeah,
her chest and one on her head. When I tell you, within 5 to 7 minutes, she started perking up and feeling better. And I said, if you weren't feeling better, the next thing I was going to have them is to give you a damp rag, cold rag, and put it on your tummy. Because people don't understand, because and I tell people, like, if you have indigestion or whatever, when you put that cold rag, because there's this book called Water, and it's a guy that I think it's one from the Indinki tribe, and they talk about how water is very cleansing and how it's healing. So
yeah,
when we hit those spots for her, when the ambulance came, she's like, "No, I don't need to go anywhere." And they asked her to check her
yeah.
blood sugar, And I said, what it does is it tricks your brain for a moment.
Mm,
It'll trip your brain. So everyone's like, like, oh my God, thank you. Even now when I go back, they're like, oh my God. But I just, Skye, I just love what you're doing. Anyone
oh,
who's doing positive, especially because think about this, ladies and gentlemen. We're out there taking care of so many people. We forget about ourselves,
yeah.
right? This is our temple. This is the only body we have. Why
Hmm.
not pay homage to it by taking care of it? When a doctor diagnoses you with something, you take the medication without any questions. You may ask what's the
Yeah.
side effect, but you take it. I tell you, here's my script: eat some fruits, eat some vegetables, and you want to question me, the kingdom come, right?
Mm,
And I have to be patient with those people because we're
mm,
conditioned. Remember, we have something that's called healthcare. It's not really healthcare, right? It's not
yeah.
health, because there's nothing healthy about healthcare and the hospitals. So I just want people to try plant-based lifestyle. Whether, at least try it. Try raw. Skye, because of you, I've been really doing more things, like in the mornings, and like I love watermelon, right? We had a guy come down from Alabama to Georgia, and he has a watermelon patch, and he bought 40 watermelons. I bought 7 of them from him, right? So juicing and eating, I feel healthier, and I feel within my spirit when I eat raw. And I
Yeah.
when I cook, and I'm going to be honest because I'm transparent, I'll be cooking up a storm because I'm a chef. I could cook, but my body says I should be eating raw. And
Mm,
I know that. Even though if it's cold, I need watermelon. I need something. So I started juicing and things. So I'm going to be going on a fast, so to speak, November 1st, where it's going to be raw, but it's going to be juicing. Because I did that before, because like you, I got sick. The doctors practically, oh, that's it. She's over with. And like you, I was bleeding, and it was,
mm,
and I signed myself out of the hospital, went on a 20, 25-day fast, cured myself, and when I
mm,
went back to my doctor. She's like, wait a minute, did you have a hysterectomy? What's going on? There's
yeah.
the things that are here to cure us are here. I'm not, and again, for anyone
Mm,
who's listening, I am not saying to stop taking your medications. I am not
mm,
saying you're eating meat. You're ridiculous. This is a non-judgmental zone. I'm
mm.
putting here, bringing people on to share what we're doing together. I hear feedback. I hear feedback. I think it's on your mic or something. I'm hearing
Oh,
feedback.
is it?
Yeah.
Is that better?
Hello? You're much better, because I was hearing myself through your mic. Yeah.
Oh no.
I think, so if you have any questions, or, just, DM me, message me, and then I can put you in touch with so many people. So, I kind of pivoted my show, Skye, where we bring people on. They talk about the trials and tribulations they've gone through,
Mm,
but we don't stay there. We want to know, how did you get where you are now? But
mm,
I'm creating my own tribe, where I want to bring my vegan, my plant-based people in, because I want people to see, they need to hear more of that than, hey, let's cook some shrimp parmesan or something like that. And again, I'm not here to judge if you eat meat. I'm not here to do that. I am just trying to introduce something. Maybe you can go meatless Mondays. Maybe you
Mm,
can go raw, something, you know? So that's
mm.
what we're here to do. So, Skye, my question to you is, what would you say is the most impactful thing that has happened in your life thus far?
Self-love. So I can tell myself I love me. If I'm not feeling good or my head, even now, is not doing well, where my body starts to not be like that well, I can literally take myself and rest and tell myself for an entire day, I love you over and over again. And people need to know that I lived an entire life where I'm not sure I ever said that before. So part of this, I needed the raw food. So I can't find that love without it. It's as if it clears away to then use all the tools that God's Spirit has provided us with. So once you're on raw, how the sun affects you is completely different. You feel everything. How music sounds is completely different. How the voice in your head talks to you is completely different. All that chatter goes, and it's like direct line to God there, right? So then I was like eating my food as I got well, and that voice was so beautiful. Look what you made, Skye. You're amazing, Skye. I love you, Skye. I love where you live, Skye. My little apartment, like it was all this self-love, and I cannot express that if that voice starts talking to you negatively, something is off in your life, and it's very hard to keep that in check without the raw foods. And I'm like you, I'm not telling anybody to go out and do it, but it's interesting when you post like I do often about all what I eat in a day, all the food, all the recipes, and people come at me and tell me that what I'm doing is incorrect, yet I say to them, I have perfect health. I repaired everything. My blood work is perfect. Do you have perfect health? Like, people have this tendency to make the prawn parmigiana with the result of a hit of dopamine, right? But with raw foods is the recipes I create are fun, exciting, they taste good, and then at the end you constantly evolve into better health. Like I actually feel I'm like young again, where when you're young, you get excited about, turning 12 and then turning to a teenager, becoming an adult, like you are growing. It's like that again. Once you get that nutrition in, you get that electric food in, you have fun with the recipes, you're loving yourself. You literally every day, something new pops up. Like it's even, my hair was going gray. It wasn't totally gray, but there were gray hairs when I was in 2018. And they continued. My hair practically fell out. I practically lost my hair. My hair's not only growing now, it's gone blonde. So it's going quite blonde. Like then that's just another thing. So each day you'll notice something, or I noticed there's a freckle I had since birth, a mole. It's faded to 75% of it's gone. So that healing journey, it makes you excited about life. And so much of life is put onto what we eat, where we go, what foods are in that country. And that's all there still, but you shift it. What fruits are in that country?
Yes.
What, because you have so much energy, what are you going to go see? You will spend the whole day going for a trek, finding a waterfall, laughing with your friends. It's just a shift. There is so much goodness there once you go on this diet. It's just that, and I get it, if you've spent 40 years of your life eating a certain way, hanging around people who drink, who their fun time is usually wanting to crash out in front of Netflix. But what if there's a whole new world? And that's what raw is about, right? Is just raw straight through life. Like literally as I got well, no matter what I applied myself to, if I turned up each day, I continually get better. Even if I plateau for a bit, I can do anything, right? I can raw.
And I've noticed, because I said, this is the year I'm going to do more for myself, do more for Jackie, right? And I've noticed that First of all, I can run circles around girls 25 years and from 30 to 25 and probably 21. I don't need 8 hours sleep anymore. Not that I'm saying people shouldn't get it, but my body, I'm up at 5, I'm bouncing
Yes.
around, and I'm in my 50s, and I'm bouncing around. And, I have this, people are like, oh my God, how is your teeth? Do you bleach it? No, don't do that. And I
Yeah.
even had my dentist one day go on social media to say, no, all I do, she goes to the hygienist and the hygienist cleans it. That's it. Because people didn't believe me. So
Yeah.
I just wanted people to understand that you can live. For me, I'm trying to represent. This is a representation of Jackie, and I want to put my foot out as best as I can. Now, there's not saying that I don't have my issues and I don't have my days now, because I have my days, but
Yeah.
majority of the time I try to put, no, I not try, because I'm all about affirmations. I put out good light. What people need to understand, what you put in is what comes out. So when you
Yes.
put good things in your body, it's like, I don't know, I just love something about watermelon, something about pomegranate, something about, I like exotic foods, dragon fruit, and sour sop, because, I'm Jamaican and Cuban, so we're used to all those fruits and stuff. But just
Yeah.
eating things different, just, okay, let me try this, because I'm all about trying things, right? Let me try this. Let me see what it tastes like. But I'm one of those. If it tastes horrible, but it's healthy for your body, oh, I'm going to take it. I
Yeah.
don't care. I am going to take it. So how do you feel now that because to me, it sounds like you've gone through a rebirth. You were
Yeah.
reborn. That's what it seems like to me. How are you? Like, what's next for you? Like next year, what do you have planned?
To be honest, I am so grateful in the present. I am just loving sharing my journey. I'm loving helping people. I'm loving basically living. So as I love what I'm living, I share more. And to be honest, that's really what it's all about. I love creating the ebooks and I love doing YouTube, but that's all just about my love for me. And then I'm just wanting to share it. And what you said about loving all of those tropical fruits, it's interesting because we are tropical beings. Like we would have lived, you can put somebody in Fiji by a beach, you've got coconut trees, you've got tropical trees, you could do it in Jamaica. If at night you need to find like a shelter, you'll find you could sleep under a rock. You can't do that anywhere else. Like, and you would wake up with so much gratitude and joy to have fruit, have water, have your family close by. It just makes sense. Like, it's funny how we can deviate so far from where we originally came from.
And I
But you
think
know what? There's a goal right there. I wouldn't mind ending up in Jamaica on a beach,
exactly. And see, the thing for me is
Oh,
I needed healing because I've gone through so much in my younger life that therapy, and eating healthier has healed me. Like today, I went and got a massage. And I know when I get a massage that I need to drink more water. There's certain things I need to do because my body, and I listen to, because we're all intuitive. Let's face it. Some of us
yes.
are just not tapped into it. But if my body says, Jackie, go to sleep, I'm going to sleep. I don't
Yeah.
care if the house needs to be clean. I am going to sleep. I am learning to listen more to my inner self, obey what it's telling me, because this body has been taking me around so far and it survived so much trauma that now coming out of trauma, and I say this is what healed looks like. Now is the time for me to love, kiss my skin, just love
Yes.
me. And there isn't anything wrong with this difference. It's not being selfish. We have to start being selfless when it comes to us. We have to learn to say the word no. If your cup is full, you cannot give from a full
Yes.
cup. You have to give from an overflowing cup.
Yes.
So that's what I try to educate people on. And let me tell you, I love when you and your girlfriend, I've been the one stalking you. You and your girlfriend, you guys are on Instagram. You guys go on Instagram together. And I think one morning it was like 4 o'clock in the morning for me or something. And I'm watching you and her. And I don't know if it's different women, but you and her just talking just talking, and I am just listening, watching. And I'm like, Jackie, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Go to bed.
Do you know what that sounds like? It sounds like dinner club. So we share once a week. Yes. And then we get into chats, but I'm very aware that for most of the world, I know in Europe it's morning, but I know in America it is the absolute middle of the night. So unless there's people up early, like it depends where you are. And then so we're like, we're having dinner, and you guys are like, man, I don't even want breakfast yet, but I'm glad because we do. We just chat because she's healed as well. But what it took for her was seeing someone like myself who had been that sick. And that's what it is, right? Is my gift to the world is that I did suffer what I suffered, but I overcame it. And if it's just that hope that I give to someone, that can be the difference, because in this world, it's so confusing. Literally, even if you think about a tomato, there's things, it's a nice shade, don't eat it. Do eat it, it's got, it's got nutrition in it. Have it cooked because there's more lycopene. Don't have it cooked because raw food's better. That's confusing enough. People, and the only way I feel like I got through all of that was my intuition. Mm-hmm. And it took me, living alone where there's nobody, and it's people do what they do because they love you. So if you've got carers, they're wanting you, you need this and you need that. But once you're down, out, and you've only got that voice in your head and some raw food, you'd be surprised what is achievable. The other thing with self-love and giving to others is we're a society who people will get up and they'll even do whatever their boss says, push the limits. I stayed out because my boss. But could you get up and make yourself a green tea early? No, I'll sleep in because I need to do something for my boss. Could you get up and do a walk? No, I don't have time. I've got to do things for my kids. And on that note, when you are in an aeroplane and the oxygen mask drops, you must put that oxygen on yourself first and not the child, right? So you've got to fill your body with that breath of love and good things to then give to your child. Because, if you keep giving to your child, eventually your child's going to be very sad because mum or dad is going to be in hospital and unwell. And,
But I think that's what society has taught people. So it's so hard to unlearn this, because when I talk to women who have children, if they're part of my course and they're like, well, this is what, I want you to do this. Think of yourself first. And they're like, no, my child. No, because if you're not here, you're not going to be here to take care of your child. The order of, even in the Bible, the order is God, you, your significant other, then your child. Right. Yeah. So, and there isn't anything selfish. You're running yourself ragged. You're doing all these things for your children, but what are you doing for yourself? You're doing all this for your significant other. What are you doing for yourself? You're only hurting yourself. Because at the end of the day, I want Skye to show up as the best representation of herself. Don't come to me when you're ragged and tired and like, I'm only getting 30% of you. Take that 30% back home. I don't want that.
Yes. And that is what's so important, is people are like, I can't have the green tea and go for the walk. And it's like, but do you know what you'll bring to your child today if you do self-care and self-love? So maybe you're only there for 2 hours instead of 3 hours, but the impact you have on their life may change the entire course. It would change the entire course of their life. Everything's always evolving and changing. We need to see that. It's also like when I go to a party or an event, I don't stay the whole 6 hours. I show up with all of me for 2 hours, but people usually remember it, right? And they're like, oh, after that, we're all drunk and don't remember it anyway. I'm like, well, I remember everything. I remember who I spoke to. I remember the entire evening, clear as day. I was high vibe, but when I need Skye sleep, and Skye's going to get up in the morning and do exercise, and she's going to have an entire day tomorrow. So I'm always constantly, because otherwise nobody gets raw, right? Like you don't get the raw that comes out unless you continually look after yourself. And, it's not easy in this society to, even living by myself, being single and just caring for myself, to constantly get massages, make green juices, make good food. You do feel the pressure of guilt, like I'm doing so well, and on top of doing well, I'm going to give myself a massage. But you've got to keep going, because that's the trick, right? Is it's if you conform to what everybody else is doing, you can't expect a different result. So you will get the same results. So if everybody's kind of living their life but constantly failing, constantly sick, struggling, using food and medications to get through life, if you do what they're doing, that's what you will get. If you become a renegade, go out on your own, do what you need to do because your body's telling you, I promise the outcome will be incredible.
You have to start creating high vibration, and everything is vibration, right?
Yes.
So you have to sometimes as you have to be that renegade, because I was born a rebel. You have to be that renegade to or rebel or a disruptor, or maybe
Yes.
that's a nicer word, to do things. You can't go along with the crowd. You
No.
have to do what you feel you need to do. Because sometimes on Sundays, when I'm cooking or prepping, sometimes it may take 3 hours, right? But you have to learn to say no. You can't be so perfect to say, oh my God, I gotta clean my house and I'm exhausted. It's okay to take a nap. Take a nap and do it tomorrow. There's always tomorrow. I understand we need to have our bathrooms and our kitchen clean, yes. But during the week, if you're working and sometimes you just need to say, and here's the thing, ladies, and if you can't afford it, get a daggone housekeeper to come in and clean. You don't have to do everything. You can't do everything. You can't be everything to everyone. So if you have it in the budget where you can get someone, because think about this, you're blessing them. You're helping someone to clean your house or home or cook or whatever, and you're helping their household where they can afford to help other people as well. So again, it's a chain reaction. Don't look at it as only rich people do this or only lazy people do this. When you start delegating, you have time to dedicate for yourself. Things to do with your family, things to do with your significant other, or more importantly, things to do for your doggone self, right? So I'm advocating that it's okay. Don't be rough on yourself if I'm supposed to cook this, I didn't get to cook this, or juice. Don't be so hard on yourself because stress is a #1 killer. You don't need that. You don't need to get depressed. Just create a crowd of women. And if you have a village, maybe you have in your village, someone can cook on Monday, another person could cook on Tuesday, and you can do co-op cooking. Oh, I got to write that down. Okay, I created the word co-op cooking. Okay, yeah. But yeah.
Also, if it's money people are worried about, what I noticed, so I did what I did on a disability pension. So I didn't get any help from anybody. I did it myself. And what I noticed very quickly, because the high vibrational jump is so big, so I literally put all my money into the food. I knew there was something special there, right? Is all my money went into the food, knowing full well that if I did that, I could one day be well enough to work. And once I'm well enough to work, I invest more money, organic produce, right? And then you become well enough to do 2 types of work, right? And then you can do YouTube. And then, so what you investing any money, putting money into anything which you know will benefit your life will just evolve you, and then it will come back at you, whether it's money, whether it's time with your children, whether it comes back. That's why you do it. Is we're a society, and it's the food can make us think so negatively. We all come from a place so often of lack. Like, I don't have the money, that's going to cost money. So they'd rather do it stress, make themselves sick, and end up having to pay $10,000 for some treatment for a health concern. That's how it works, right? Is if you don't pay now, you pay in the future. So you do the massages, you do the juicing, you look after yourself, you have good sleep, you put yourself first, because when you come to whatever, your children or your family, you will have more. But also over time, if you've put into you will do better at your job, you will do better at whatever you apply yourself to. So that's something to be noteful of as well.
What one advice would you like to give, a takeaway you'd like to give people? And then if you can share your social media, because I'm like, we're running over, but we have to talk about this. So what takeaway would you like to leave the audience with, and your social media?
Sure. I'd like to leave people with knowing you're worth it. So when you struggle to get the juice down and you want something else and you know this will help your health, you're worth it. When you wake up early and you go for a walk, you're worth it. If you choose to have a cup of tea and not play a game with your children for an extra half an hour, it's because you're worth it. Once you find your worth, you will find self-love. Once you find that, you will find you will just bring things into your life and attract things which will change the entire outcome of your world. And that's what you want. So just know you're worth it. As for social media, I am on Instagram as @raw, so it's ROAR.SKYE, so it's raw Skye, raw.Skye. I am on YouTube at Raw Skye, which is ROARSKYE. I'm on TikTok as Raw Skye, ROARSKYE. I'm on Facebook as Skye Conway. Where else am I? I'm on Threads as Raw Skye. If you Google me, you will find Raw Skye. So thank you. And I hope that this has helped people in some way.
It will, because whenever you do something positive, it always helps, even if it helps one person. So, we want to thank everyone for tuning into the Women Are Worthy Network. Don't forget to like, don't forget to follow, subscribe, comment. Sharing is caring. And again, we want to remind everyone, have a motivational Monday, turnaround Tuesday, wind down Wednesday, thankful Thursday, fearless Friday, soothing Saturday, and self-care Sunday. Don't forget to do these things, and it's all about you. It's all about you. So we want to thank everyone again for tuning in. You've just been marvelous, marvelous.